Ahsan Iqbal. On behalf of the Institutional Reform Group, Government of Punjab, I welcome you all on the Punjab Governance Forum 2012. My name is Sadia Tariq and I am Deputy Program Director, Punjab Resource Management Program, and I will be the stage deputy for the today's event. This forum has been organized to present some of the key innovations that the Government of Punjab has undertaken in the last 4 years, as well as to get your views on how the Government of Punjab can continue this momentum of governance reforms for going forward. We have invited people from all walks of life, and we will greatly appreciate contribution from all of you to enrich our discussion. We expect that this forum will make a concrete step ahead towards developing a shared vision for governance reforms in Punjab. I now request Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, Member of National Assembly and Chairman of Institutional Reform Group, to come and give his welcome address. Mr. Ahsan Iqbal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Mr. Rana Afzal Khan, Professor Zafar Iqbal Qureshi, Additional Chief Secretary, ladies and gentlemen. We will be very shortly joined by the Chief Minister, and because we have a long menu ahead of us, so we decided to start the proceedings. First of all, let me welcome you to Punjab Governance Forum, organized by Institutional Reforms Group of Government of Punjab. The basic objective of today's meeting is to review the governance initiatives which have been undertaken in past 4 years, and to also share with you some of the success stories which I can very proudly say are not just success stories in the context of our country or in context of Pakistan, but these are the success stories which can meet any global standard of success, and they have been proudly showcased in number of international seminars and conferences and recognized as very innovative and pioneering work. So we are very happy, and we compliment those officers who have been part of this very transformational work in governance. So some of those success stories will be showcased. And while we were doing this, while we were making preparations for this seminar, so we collected some information from the district administration and different departments. And here is a list of hundreds of governance initiatives which have been undertaken by different departments or offices at different levels. But unfortunately, those have not been recognized. It is very common today to recognize any failure or any lapse somewhere, but we seldom go around recognizing the success stories. As a result, there is no incentive left anymore for people to show success. And those who are still showing success, I think their patience, perseverance needs to be commended. And I think if we really want to move forward, we have to have this very balanced approach in terms of analyzing our successes and failures. Where we criticize or where we highlight the glass half empty, we also ought to look at the glass half full. And I can very confidently tell you that glass is more than half full in many cases. And that does not get the recognition that it warrants. So today, one of our agendas is to present those success stories so that we are able to recognize good work and we are able to recognize those champions of change, whom I call entrepreneurs in governance. Today we need entrepreneurship in governance, where people do not just wait for resources to come. People do not wait for someone to ask them to do a task, but they are driven by their internal drive for excellence, by their internal engine for striving to get more innovation in their area of work, and such are the people, I think, who will drive change, and they drive change all over the world. So that is one purpose. I can share with you very proudly that the key strategic directions which the Punjab government has followed in its governance program can be summarized in 9 areas. The first one is that in 4 years we have tried to enforce very strictly policy of merit. Merit-based recruitment and merit-based decisions. You will have a presentation on how teachers have been recruited on merit. And it is not an easy thing to withstand all the political pressures we have, and when we see in other governments all government appointments being dished out on political favoritism, we are also a competing force in that arena of politics. So we also have to face the same demands from our constituents that if they can do, why cannot you do? But it takes a courage to convince your voters, your supporters, that merit serves them well in the long run, and it serves everyone well in the long run. And today, almost 80,000 teachers in last 4 years recruitment was done, 200% on merit, and even our worst opponents have admitted this in number of talk shows sitting with me. Yes, we cannot challenge recruitment of teachers on merit, and I think this is a change. Change does not come by speeches. Change comes by doing and by implementing. So, bringing in this transformational change where you can, in this very politicized environment, if you can show that you have the will and you can bring merit in government recruitments, that is, I think, a big success, and that needs to be recognized. And I will not take much time because as Secretary Education is here, he will share with you that how induction of those school teachers has now positively impacted the performance of public sector schools, wherein at class 5 level exams, their results have now outperformed the private schools in some areas. So when you inject quality into the system, you get quality results, and that is, I think, a very big success story. Then transparency, accountability to fight corruption. Now, fighting corruption has been second priority, and we can very proudly say that media is as critical of our government as it is of other governments. But in past 4 years, not a single corruption scandal has hit government of Punjab. This is not a small success. It is a big success when you have a mega corruption scandal coming out in the media almost every day against other governments. So the government has tried to show zero tolerance for corruption at policy making level, at political level. So as a result, by the grace of Allah, we see that, we have relatively a very clean government. No one can point fingers to the Chief Minister, to his ministers, to his secretaries, to his key officials, that they are fleeing money, they are getting commissions, they are getting kickbacks, or they are involved in any corruption scandal. So this is a change which has been shown that if you have the political commitment, you can keep yourself clean from any corruption charge or scandal. We have had major procurements. Recently, Government of Punjab made a very major project of distributing laptops, started a major project of this laptop scheme, which was, criticized by the opponents. But today we see the merit of the project is recognized when the other provinces are also following that scheme. But then, in this billions of rupees, about 4 or 6 billion rupees, I think was the 4 billion rupees procurement. While opposition tried to make it controversial, the government proactively asked Transparency International to have a look at it. and Transparency International looked at it and gave a clearance certificate that we have found it to be very transparent and no corruption involved in procurement. And likewise, there have been other number of procurement contracts where we have shown that you can have major procurements without any allegation of corruption. So transparency has been another hallmark which we have been trying to put. E-governance. We have tried to leverage information technology. Punjab IT Board and the Dr. Umar Saif has done some pioneering work, and now we are also leveraging a new concept which today is very popular in the governance area, and where Pakistan has a very unique opportunity with a very high penetration of cell phones, mobile phones. The e-governance paradigm has moved to the next level of paradigm, which is M-governance, where you can use mobile phones for citizen feedback, for measuring the quality of your services, getting connected for better response from government to citizens. And likewise, GIS offers unique opportunities. You will have a presentation how urban unit has been able to use or leverage IT and GIS for some very major governance interventions in the country. During the floods, this GIS capability was very important to enable government to see where the damage was done, so that when relief work was done or compensations were being given, they could be done in a more transparent manner, how to mobilize government resources. Then in dengue virus, the way government was able to respond, there this technology played a major role. So that has been another hallmark of our effort. Then decentralization of service delivery functions. Government is now undertaking major initiatives to decentralize health and education to the district level. After 18th Amendment, we have a major responsibility that while many functions have been delegated from center to province, if it did not delegate functions from province to district level, province will become too top heavy and will not be able to respond to the needs of citizens. So that is another direction in which we are moving. Increasing revenues and increasing expenditure efficiency, better project management, bringing in more value for money. Fiscal reforms are another area where Punjab Revenue Authority has been set up. Some pioneering work is being done in property tax and all that you will also hear. Public-private partnership. Now the capacity of government to perform is very limited. Why? Because of the fiscal pressures. Now not only Pakistan faces fiscal pressure, but today all over the world we see that governments are coming under increasing fiscal pressures. Now gone are the days when governments had the money to do everything in the world. Now governments' budgets are becoming tight, so therefore they have to leverage private sector resources, and that means a public-private partnership. So now that again is an area where we have tried to make some major initiatives, whether in the social sector. Punjab Education Foundation, you will see that how it is partnering with private sector to meet the challenge of providing education, affordable education to poor by partnering with private sector. And then there are some other major initiatives where private sector investment is coming in to construct silos, wheat silos, and many other infrastructure projects. So that is another area of our focus. Fostering innovation, learning culture, and knowledge management. We are undergoing transformational change in our times. We are living through its age of knowledge revolution and change. So unless government also became a learning organization, government also became a knowledge organization, it will not be able to meet those challenges. So we are trying to promote innovation, and we are also starting now next level of intervention by setting up innovation fund, where we will provide funds to those governance entrepreneurs who have pioneering or transforming ideas for improving service delivery. And once those pilot projects become successful, they will be scaled up to to perform at the provincial level. So that would be a major intervention where innovation will be institutionalized within government for people to not say that I have an idea, but what shall I do? I don't know. How can I realize my innovation? And lastly, leadership for results. We have found that in these challenging times, we need leaders in government service who have a commitment, who have the competency, and who have the courage to take the risk and to withstand the costs of change and become successful agents and champions of reform. And to do that, we need to build them, we need to give them the tools they need to perform their job, and that is a skill which is greatly lacking. I have, as part of my professional work, when I do these leadership programs, I ask this question to people from public sector, private sector, of all the bosses you have worked with in life, how many of them would you rate as true leaders? So these are the 9 areas in which we are trying to make interventions, and where we have invited you today because we think that not only it is important that we review the work we have done in 4 years, but now we build on the momentum which has been generated. The success lies not in showing performance. The success lies in institutionalizing performance. We think that in the last 4 years, we have been able to show performance in some areas. Now, the challenge for us is, how do we institutionalize this performance so that tomorrow, whether we are in government or we are not in government, merit, commitment against corruption, transparency, service delivery, all these things become hallmarks of our governance, of our state structure, of our government machine. They do not remain associated with just one chief minister or with one government, because these are the elements which we need to see in our country, in our governance, regardless of who is in power. So the purpose of inviting you today is to also help us, guide us, give your ideas for action. How do we institutionalize some of the successes we have achieved? And number 2, how do we from here, while we have laid some basic foundations for good governance, how do we now construct a bigger pillar or a bigger structure, a more holistic structure for next generation of reforms in public sector or in the governance of public sector. So while we identify that next generation of reforms, our focus should be not in theory, that what are we going to do and come up with a wish list, ye bhi hona chahiye, wo bhi hona chahiye. No, we should be very specific. We need ideas for action, ideas which can be implemented, which are doable, which match our capabilities, our resources. We don't want to have some wish list, which just stays in the papers or in the reports and never gets implemented. So we need to have ideas which can be readily implemented. So you have in your folders worksheets in which, while you are working in one group, if you feel that you have some ideas in other groups also, you can put down your ideas there and give us ideas for short term, immediate term, ideas which can be realized in next 6 months, medium term, 6 months to 2 years, and then long term, maybe 2 years or longer, which are more basic, fundamental, institutional. So that is where your contribution is required. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that, if we can really have your feedback, I can assure you of one thing. History may never remember the names of those individuals who came here in the morning of 19th July and left some of their very pressing engagements and sat here to ponder on governance, how to give governance, better governance to our country, to our society. But I'm sure if we do a good job today, history will never be able to forget your contribution. So it is very important that now each one of us is a stakeholder in the future of this country, and we give our best. We make the contribution which is required, because these are the most challenging times of human civilization. Human civilization has always seen change as a constant, but the change of constant always moved at a pace of 5 miles an hour maybe. To give you an example, there is a difference of 2000 years between Caesar and Napoleon, but the way Caesar fought his battles was no different from the way Napoleon fought his battles. So for 2000 years, human civilization did not make much of a difference in terms of the paradigms which were at work. But 70 years after Napoleon, it was possible to move at 110 miles speed with railway engines. And that industrial revolution which dawned about 18th century is today finished after 300 years. And today it is said that we have entered a new era of knowledge revolution, where globalization, information revolution and knowledge revolution are recreating new paradigms of human success, human survival and human prosperity and wealth creation. Those nations and societies who will be able to develop or re-engineer their economic, social structures to be compatible with these new paradigms will be the winners. And the ones who fail to re-engineer their structures will be big-time failures. As they say, you can meet change 3 ways. Either proactively, by reading the change and proactively developing new capacities so that you become beneficiaries of change. Or reactively, you wait for the change to hit you a punch and then you get up from the floor and try to do damage control, and that is just a mukmuka mode of change management, in which you don't become beneficiary, you only minimize your losses. And the third, you ignore the change, and in that way the change wipes you off the face of the map and you are a lost entity in history. So our choice is, we neither want to be reactive nor we want to be ignorant, we want to be proactive. So let us see what is it that needs to be done for next decade. These changes cannot be brought, such transformational changes are never brought in a matter of couple of months or weeks. You know, there are doctors saying that we can fix the system in 90 days, but believe you me, I am a student of management. Even to change culture in a Fortune 500 company, you need 3 to 5 years. These are very painstaking processes, because status quo, wherever, in whichever form, has very strong roots. Any system is a web of vested interests, and when you have to change a system, you have to know the power architecture of that system. You have to be deeply embedded in that system so that you understand who is who and whose are what interests and where is the resistance going to come and how are you going to short circuit them. So it is a very painstaking effort, and it requires a collective effort so that we can meet those challenges. So to meet this challenge of globalization, to meet this challenge of knowledge information revolution, we have to move beyond the traditional structure of bureaucracy. We have to re-engineer our institutions. And that means that we have to not just re-engineer the business processes in our structures, we also have to look for more collaborative approaches, because now we have a democratization. There are new forces. Media is a new force. It is all the time having some stories on you. It is now carrying a ticker every second. Previously, media management was 24-hour basis. Kal ki akhbar mein kya aayega? Today, it is second to second. No policy maker can be insensitive that what ticker the television is going to run the very next moment. What news story is going to break in the next hourly bulletin. So how do you also look at these new players who have come in? Civil societies have a new force which wants to be partner. There are new educated people. So how do we re-engineer institutions and bring this new focus? Number 2, human resource management. How do we reconfigure competencies, skills, attitudes and behaviors so that they respond to higher standards of expectations? Look at the service delivery. 20 years ago, how did you do banking? 20 years ago, banking was just through branches. It was a physical experience. Now 20 years later, how has the banking experience changed? Customer or a citizen sees that change in the private sector, in the service delivery. वो कहता है कि 20 years ago, I used to queue outside in front of the teller. Today, sitting in my home, holding my mobile phone, I can do all the transactions, or I can go to an ATM machine next door and get my get my cash. The banks have given me a lot of convenience. Similarly, look at the telecom. How has the telecom sector reformed itself? How much convenience there is for people. Look at retailing. 20 years ago, you needed to go to some Khan Chacha store somewhere, to get your things done, to do your grocery. But look at metro, look at these new departmental stores, the convenience, the choices they offer, the whole experience of retail shopping has changed, transformed. So these are the new benchmarks of service delivery which citizens are seeing and experiencing. But when they compare those with the government service delivery is not just the same as it used to be 20 years ago, but in many cases has even gone worse. And that is what brings the tension. And that is what drives trust deficit in the citizens of the country. That while they see private sector moving with a speed of, supersonic speed in terms of embracing new technology, embracing new ideas, and offering better standards of service, they don't see government institutions matching that speed. So they lose hope and they lose trust. So how do we bring those new competencies, that new attitude of work? How do we set new standards of service delivery is, I think, very critical for the future of public sector management. Using the technology, using innovation to cut down your costs. How do you give better quality with less cost, and how do you maximize value for each rupee which goes into public sector management or in development of our. So these are some of the challenges which we face, and I hope that with your help we will be able to make some change. Before I conclude, I would only like to share a couple of quotes with you to show that what we want to escape and what we want to change. Because it is always said that the perfect bureaucrat everywhere is the man who manages to make no decisions and escape all responsibility. So that age is gone. Now we need people who can take the right decisions and also accept responsibility. So this is a paradigm shift we see. Bureaucracy defends status quo long past the time when the quo has lost its status. So we need a bureaucracy which does not defend status quo, but we need bureaucracy which can lead and drive government structures or public sector on those uncharted waters where new frontiers of service delivery and governance are being transformed. They have to become, in a way, Columbus, to chart or to find new destinations using the new technologies. And that is what, we say that there is today a big gap in TAD, technology, adoption and delivery. These three areas are moving at a speed of, say, 10,000 miles an hour, but public sector is moving at maybe 5 miles an hour in each of these areas. Technology is offering opportunities which are beyond human comprehension. How do we embrace technology to drive our performance? Adoption. How do we create structures which are open, which are flexible to adopt new ideas? I was amazed that, and I must compliment that this guy, Max Weber, did such a great job. He created such a strong machine that over centuries no one has been able to make a dent. I was recently in States where I happened to visit Office of Budget and Management, which is supposed to look after public sector reform in White House. And meeting the director, I asked them that, look, I'm a student of public sector management and I've seen that there were great initiatives which were launched by Clinton administration, and particularly Al Gore came out with this new reinventing government and all that, big initiative. How much of it has survived? So the lady laughed and said, but unfortunately after Vice President Al Gore was gone, it lost momentum, and then we had a new administration and it had its new agenda. So I said, okay, from the new Bush administration, what were some of the great stories? So they said, yes, they made such and such interventions and the scorecards and some other things, those were great success. Then I said, how much of that has survived the Obama administration? Again she laughed, but the new administration has their own priorities, and well, they lost interest in those, and now we have some new ideas. So I found out that even in the United States, this power of bureaucracy is so strong that after any administration is gone, they can easily throw out whatever that was trying to do, and they go back to business as usual. Now this is something we all face, that this inertia, we need to see that how much of it is positive and how much of it is negative. Yes, certainly we need some continuity. We cannot be just, acting in a manner which is very unpredictable. Yes, predictability, continuity has some strength, but if that becomes the end, it does not serve the purpose. So that is only a means. So how can we internalize some of this work which does not remain confined to a particular administration, but should have ownership of the stakeholders, so that any administration which tomorrow comes is able to move forward on this path, and we can build momentum which will give the desired results. And again in the end, I would quote from Abraham Lincoln, and which I think applies to us also equally. He said, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedom, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. So ladies and gentlemen, nobody can take away our freedom. Nobody can destroy us. We will only be destroyed if we decide to destroy ourselves, and we do not stand up to the challenge which we face. I am very positive, hopeful that all of you who have made this commitment, shown this commitment, are very concerned citizens, patriotic Pakistanis. I would only request that the most important part of your presence here would be after lunch when we have these group meetings. Please use these group meetings as an opportunity to give your ideas, so that with your ideas we can formulate a roadmap for future, and we would like you to become our partners. This is not our work. This is not PMLN government in Punjab's work. This is the work for the people of Punjab. This is a work for people of Pakistan. And we all have to join hands to take Pakistan to next level of development through better governance, because governance alone defines success and failure. Pakistan Zindabad.